John B. Watson, 1913 Behaviorist Manifesto, setting the stage for behaviorism's social action legacy. Watson's 1913 Behaviorist Manifesto viewed psychology as a natural science with the goal of prediction and control of behavior, an appreciation of environment as a determinant of behavior, and the great potential to improve society through application of empirically derived principles of behavior. His balanced view of the nature-nurture issue emphasized learning, habit formation in Watson's construct as a key mechanism for understanding the impact of the environment on behavior and thereby improve prediction and control of behavior. But beyond promoting the concept of learning to the psychological research community, Watson argued that one could, and should, apply scientifically validated behavioral principles to a wide range of pressing social needs and problems. His linking of the goal of prediction and control with practical application to human affairs suggests that his reason to learn general and particular methods by which I may control behavior was to promote social change that improves society and make life better for its citizens. Though the 1913 Manifesto itself had only a very small impact on the scientific community, both immediate and long term, as measured by citations and rebuttals, it was the first behavioral foray into spirited intellectual conflict with other approaches to understanding behavior and the first to argue that empirically derived principles must be applied for the betterment of society. As one biographer observed, his fight to make psychology an agent of social engineering had begun in earnest 1913. Therefore, despite in the 1913 article's limited impact, Hart and Cresonist credit it with sparking the flame that has now blazed as the field of applied psychology. Watson's manifesto flatly contended that psychology must develop and promote practical principles that could remediate individual and social problems, a position in stark contrast to the psychology of the early 20th century that emphasized an internal focus on consciousness and introspection. One of the earliest conditions which made dissatisfied with psychology was the feeling that there was no realm of application for the principles which were being worked out in content terms. Further, Watson charged the pure psychologist, who is uninterested in potential applicability, will failing to understand the scientific aim in such problems, and being not interested in psychology which concerns itself with human life. He predicted the data generated by a scientific psychology that plays a practical part in daily routine would be specifically welcomed by the educator, physician, jurist, and businessman who could utilize behavioral psychologist data in a practical way. The Manifesto's Social Action Heritage. Watson's 1913 Manifesto included the foundation for the field's social action legacy. Psychology as a natural science strives to predict and control behavior, and must use its knowledge of behavior control to solve human problems. Murawski pointed out that the control of individual behavior that was the focus of Watson's 1913 Manifesto had been expanded by 1917 to suggest that psychology had a broader social utility. In addition to developing principles that predict how persons will adjust to life situations. It is equally a part of the function of psychology to establish laws of principles for the control of human action so that it can aid organized society in its endeavors to prevent failures in such life adjustments. Watson's focus on the systematic use of scientifically derived principles to prevent maladaptive behavior emerged as he began to question the role of instinct, just what are the patterns of his instinctive active, that is, does the human being, apart from training, do any complex acts instinctively as do the lower animals? If so, what is man's full equipment of instincts? By 1924, Watson argued that behavior is a function of environmental variables. The environment is the crucial variable that makes people different, including those called good and those called bad, and that behaviorism is the best way to engineer the environmental change needed to remedy a social problem. Skinner shared with Watson not only the progressive ideology, but also a fundamental interest in social control, understood Watson was crusading to win a cultural battle, and picked up the social change gauntlet, with its hope for a more reinforcing world through the application of behavioral theory and research findings. Progressive ideology continues to guide the work of many contemporary behavior analysts as they apply theoretical analysis to and conduct experiments on social problems such as poverty, war and conflict, and human-induced global warming. Despite the wide and widening range of social issues to which behavioral theory has been applied, Mills concluded that behaviorism failed to maintain its prominence due to a limited analysis of social and cultural factors. Certainly, behaviorists, like all who tried before, failed to establish a utopia, and behaviorism has not led to revolutionary reordering of the social order, which some see as another marker of failure. On the other hand, in many real-world settings, behaviorists and behavioral approaches are now the norm, including school pedagogy, business and industry, education, outreach treatment, and health psychology and behavioral medicine.